Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of PMP's Den of Antiquities. Today, we are doing the final roundtable for The Mandalorian, and today we're talking about Episode 8, The Return. What did you guys think? We'll get into a little later in the video our thoughts of the season in the entirety. But what did you guys, without getting too deep into it, just like base level, what did you think of the episode?
Too quick.
Do you want to go, Tom? I liked it.
You think it was too quick?
I really liked it, but yeah, it felt really. It might have just been me because like I don't come home.
I don't think it was just you.
I was like, I'm coming home, and I drove all the way home, and it's like 2.5 hours to get home, and then it's for like a kind of
30 seconds.
And I was like, dang it, like that was it was good, but I felt like it was a little bit quicker. I felt like they could have done a little. If extended a little bit more, it could have been a little bit like deeper in each scene. Kind of had a heavier feel to it.
30 minutes as well. Like usually you expect a season finale to go off with a little bit longer of an episode, a big bang. But
well, like I said, I know I said we're not going to go deep into it. But for instance, like the clone to kind of play off of what you said, the clone portion where like you see the clones. Like I feel like that's literally like you blink and you miss it sort of scene.
And then he's like
slow down a little bit.
And then he's like, "You killed them all." And I'm like, "Who did you kill?" Like, I'm confused. Like, but it was good. It's still really good.
Yes. Yeah, I'm excited to hear what do you got? Everybody else, what do you guys think?
Yes.
The final episode?
Yeah. I loved it. I love the action and I love the stuff. I'm a little bit biased now because of it because I just learned today that my buddy Dupree was one of the Mandalorians. And
dude, I saw that.
So I kind of go back and look. I'm like, oh my god, that is him, dude! Dupree, what are you doing on Mandalore?
I feel like people are slowly like sneaking in, like Rexing around. He was like the blue hat guy in Obi-Wan. Like Dupree's getting in there. I feel like we're slow. All the Star Wars fans are slowly like trickling in.
Yeah, man, so I loved it. I love the action in it. I love the good fight choreography. I loved it all, man. I know you're probably not listening to this, but I'm gonna throw my hat in the ring. I will gladly be in Star Wars. I will come there. I will work. Do whatever you guys want me to be. I'll be in a suit. I don't give a crap. You don't have to pay me.
These guys are in full armor. What do you think their answer is?
I'll pay you.
I'll pass. Not really my
Star
thing.
Wars.
Well, I enjoyed the show.
Nice, nice. You thought it was good, like or at least this episode, like overall, you thought it was good.
Yeah, I read that one. The newest one and the previous one, believe one of the best two. You know what I'm saying?
Out of the whole series,
I really enjoyed those.
I think I could agree with that. Yeah.
They were directed by that Rick guy too.
Yeah.
Everyone's sleeping on him as a director, but he gets some pretty good episodes.
Wait, so are you saying it's the best for this season or over like everything?
For this season.
Oh, okay. I was about to. I was like, dude, those are some big words. If you meant like this whole, like, we got some awesome stuff.
No.
Cool, man. Cool. Rex, man, you called it. You were saying he was just gonna go. Axe Woes was just gonna go straight into space with the jetpack, and I was sipping on that haterade, man. I was like, nah, that's silly. They're not gonna he's not just gonna go from like the ground to like all the way in orbit to flying through the ship and stuff like that. And sure enough, he freaking did.
I was hoping not, because rocket science does not apply to Star Wars, and they didn't apply it, but still was kind of nonsense,
I just didn't think jetpacks were that powerful, man. Like,
I mean, the Wikipedia page says that they only fly about 5 kilometers, and they straight up went to the stratosphere or somewhere lower. Like, you just can't reach out in 5 kilometers to the jetpack, But whatever, it looked cool.
It looked cool as hell, especially him going through like all the rain and stuff like that. But like, then the earlier episodes, I feel like they traveled like barely any distance. And
I was about to say that
pterodactyl, and they ran out of fuel. I'm like, I feel like he would run out of fuel way before he hit the fleet because it's like even further, I would imagine.
He has blood fuel, man.
I feel like there's a good chance that the Night Owls are packing a little bit more power in their jetpacks than the Children of the Watch. Yeah. I feel like they're a little bit more like serious about everything.
To that point too, like we see him use his jetpack like all the freaking time. Like he's very like aerial combat, like kneeing, like using his jetpack fuel, kneeing somebody, fighting. Like he did it with Bo-Katan and with Paz. So
yeah, true.
You have a point there for sure. Man, I'm trying to think what I got. Dude, I have like it looks like I'm the what's his name from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, where he's like up on the board. He has like all like the lines connecting and stuff like that. I have like I have all my notes like right here.
Just jump right into it, man.
Yeah.
So what did you guys think of how Din escaped? Like how he escaped his like at the very beginning? What do you guys think about that? I feel like we got some good Din action this episode. Like more so.
See, I think it was cool, but the way he handles like two of those troopers at once makes me think, okay, how did he get captured in the first place?
Yeah, I was kind of leaning towards the same way. I thought it was a little weak, honestly, because like he gets captured and he's walking down like the two hallway or the hallways with the two troopers and stuff, and then he like takes them out, and I'm kind of feeling like, well, then what was the whole setup in the previous episode for? Like, you kind of made it feel like it was this big thing. And, like, bro, on my podcast, I was talking about how Din Djarin's going to die in the finale.
Dude, I thought so, too.
We all did.
We all did, man.
Out of the blue, like, he just gets out of there. And then, also, I thought Grogu and IG-12 were on the other side of the door. How did he get to Mando?
It's the Force. That's not how the Force works.
I don't know. That kind of bugged me in the beginning. I'm not gonna lie.
He forgot he was John Wick. He's like, oh wait, yeah, I can take these guys out.
See, that's what made that last episode before this one so great. Everybody was talking. Oh, he's gonna die. No, I believe he's still alive. No, man, that dude's definitely dead.
Yeah, for sure.
For
sure.
Everybody, even people on my job, was talking about the previous episode.
Nice.
You know, it left a lot of things like with question marks.
Well, even this episode, I feel like left a lot of question marks. Like there's still like a lot of stuff.
Yes.
I thought that scene where he was spraying him with the back that was funny because it kind of harkens back to season 1 at the very end because IG sprays him with the back. He's the only one that ever takes off his helmet, you know, and sprays him with the back. So I thought it was kind of a funnier version of that because he's like, dude, he's like, I'm fine, stop. He's like, stop, I'm good, bro. And then we get R5. Shout out to R5, man. I'm glad they brought him in. And what's going on, my dude?
Nick.
But I don't know.
Boba Fett's here.
Boba Fett, where? I felt like that was very original trilogy-esque. Like, hey, I need you to hack into like the comp channels to find out where Gideon. I felt like that was very like a New Hope-esque. I felt like
Oh really? I thought it was more like Revenge of the Sith when he's activate elevator 31174. You know.
Yeah, true. I guess the only reason why I say OT trilogy is because R5's from the OT trilogy. But yeah,
that's fair. Yeah,
but very R2.
I like seeing that shot. They always do that one shot of like. It's always the same angle, everything of just the little like probe thing going into the door. I feel like just every time you see that, it's just like, oh, that's so Star Wars. Like nothing else is like that. I feel like
that's the Astromech's main tool is that little prod. They just stick it into a wall and they hacked into the mainframe.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Well, I thought it was funny because like he jetpacks down from like the top crevice, right? And then as soon as he jetpacks down, he like looks over the edge. I'm like, bro, you didn't see that coming down the whole time? He's like coming down, and then he lands on the little pad. He's like, oh shit. He's like, that's super far down. Like I don't have jet fuel to catch myself.
He might not have because like the way his eye is, like he can only see forward and
fair
down.
So did he just guess on his way down?
We're in sci-fi world, man. If not Boba Fett, if Mandalorians can see like 360 in their helmets, I best believe droids could probably see it. Well, maybe he can't see like down though. Like maybe he can just have a 360 view or something. Who knows? I don't know the anatomy of droids as well as I probably should. That's a podcast for another
I was
time.
gonna say droids probably have like all kinds of scanners and stuff that like tell them their environment around them. Yeah.
We need like that's a series within itself, droid anatomy, and just going over all the droids.
Yeah, there we go.
There's probably a book for it, but that was the first time we seen those mouse droids get pissed off and still
Yeah.
do nothing.
Police officers, yeah, with the sirens. I was like, oh man.
And he shows up with his boys, and they're all like running into him, like, beep, beep, like, go away! I'm trying to activate the ray shields. Dude.
I wonder
That
if
would have been a different story if Chopper showed up.
I was about to say,
Wiped out
yeah.
the
Yeah.
asteroids.
Wah, 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 wah.
He would have massacred all of them. He would just spawn in like
no chance.
because the other
It was,
two of them backed off into this like they like got scared and they backed up and
Rolled
fell
off
like
the platform.
yeah like
Even if it was R2, he would have shot oil on him, set him on fire, stomping on
I
ants.
was expecting to see that, man.
It was cool to see him zap, like do the little R2.
yeah.
All back.
And then we finally get another hallway scene roster, man. Den's getting this hallway scene. You know?
Everybody gets a hallway scene.
Yeah, it's like you get a hallway scene, you get a you know.
Now I was half excited though because before like he takes out the first two guys, he throws the knife in the dude's neck and he does like a slow-mo fall. You could hear vaguely the sound of those ray shields is the same sound as the Phantom Menace ray shields when they're waiting for them to open, but when they finally open, it's a different noise. Like it was, oh, you're so close, you're almost there.
I remember you saying that when I hopped on Strike's watch party, like you said that, and like because I watched it right before this, and I was like specifically listening. I was like, oh, JT said, I was like, because I didn't catch it the first time. So
It's the humming.
It
Yes.
goes, yeah, it has that same kind of hum, man. But yeah, I felt like the hallway scene was a lot more than his escape. I felt like the hallway scene was a lot more badass. Like those riot shields where he grabs the gun and they're like it was like very like I don't know if you guys are into John Wick, but it felt very John Wick.
Yeah, just a little bit, yeah.
Sure.
Where he's, like, doing it.
Now those riot batons, were those the same ones from Fallen Order? Actually, the scout, troop.
They had a lot of
similar
stun batons.
They didn't have like the whole proton pack thing though that they do in Fallen Order with the scout troopers, so they might have been like a more advanced version. I don't know.
They looked a little similar though, the way the electricity was arcing and everything. Nothing like the Praetorian Guards where it's like purple purge trooper like boss music coming in.
Yeah, I feel like they definitely took a lot of inspiration from Fallen Order because those, and then like the purge troopers and even Gideon's like staff. I mean, that was obviously that's not in Fallen Order, but like it looked very Fallen Order-esque. With his like vibro staff or whatever.
Yeah,
but
amazing, man. I loved him going for like all the vital places and stuff, and just like R5, open the door and everything like that. Just nothing for a little bit. Come on, and just eventually
we're gonna talk about some vital places here in a minute when we talk about him fighting those Praetorian Guards because he does some of those Praetorian Guards real dirty.
I love it.
The only complaint, not because I don't want to complain, but they have so many gadgets to use.
Yeah.
And I feel like we see so little of them using. Like we see the new rockets in this episode. We see, some of the wrist rockets, but I'm like, they have a lot of stuff. I'm like, we see the flamethrower, but I want to see something really crazy or something good.
To play off that, I have two things. One, what happened to his jetpack? Am I missing that? Because he had it in one of the episodes and then he doesn't.
They took it off him when they grabbed him. They're like, disarm him, and they took that off.
Okay, so he did have it.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
He had it, they
disarmed.
grabbed it. And one thing that I noticed, I don't know if this was like an accident, this was last episode, but one of his shoulders was off when they disarmed him as well.
Oh, really?
I don't, yeah.
I'm like kind of rolling on the
99%
ground.
positive, yeah, but one of them was laying on the ground, and I'm like, was that like a mess up? Because I'm like, did he put that back on?
Did you pick up if that was like his Mudhorn one that he had the signet on? Or
that's what I was thinking because I was like, oh, like in the first season, his shoulder's like the main target. Like you always see him getting shot in that shoulder, and so I'm like, oh, disarming him. Maybe it's like a little homage to like that's his like main area he gets shot at, and now he doesn't have it. I have no clue.
What did you guys think about the cloning?
I wish we would have actually like got to see them do something. I gotta be honest, like I enjoyed watching Mando season 3, but it was probably not my favorite Mandalorian season by a long shot.
I'd agree with that.
And like I feel like in the finale specifically, and I feel like I'm like being the negative person here because it sounds like you guys all really liked it, and
nothing's perfect, man. You got your own opinion. It's all right.
Well,
like I said, I agree with you. I think I'm with you. Is like I really enjoyed this season, but I think it's the weakest season out of everything we've got so far.
Really high highs and pretty low lows, I think.
Yeah, I just wish I wish we would have seen the Mythosaur. I hate that the Darksaber got destroyed, and I know that like those stories.
Oh, we're
aren't
jumping
over
knees
yet.
deep now.
Yeah, I know that those stories aren't over yet. Like I feel like there's a really good chance that the Darksaber could come back, but it's like more so how it got destroyed. Like it's the purest Beskar in existence, and Moff Gideon crushed it with his hand. Like I just don't buy that. And I do think the Mythosaur is being saved for a later date because Bo is still the only one that knows about it. But like the cloning, this could be the last time that we see Moff Gideon.
I don't think so.
And I mean, if it is, I also feel like that was a weak death because we know that all their suits are fireproof. So like, if he's actually dead, it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense.
Well, also too, dude, he has time. When I was watching it, he literally has time to like stop and go, bro, you telling me you can't do like a one jetpack thrust and like be like, granted, he probably would still be like toasted a little bit. He'd be a little Anakin-fied, but he wouldn't be dead. Just like, because I felt like he just kind of like backed up and was like giving him time to like get hit by the thing. But
I thought he was in Breaking Bad, man.
Yeah, exactly. Give him the skull face, man. But
that would be dope.
I have a theory on it about the whole cloning thing, but it's more of like a next season thing. So I don't know if I should wait till we get through the rest to say it. But
no, go for it now. Go for it now. Sure.
Well, either one of two theories. Either one, there is, because I just think there's no possible way that every clone was in there. I feel like there had to have been another clone somewhere else that could replace him, and then we might get because we were talking about this last episode and we were saying like, how's it going to work with Thrawn coming back if Moff's back? So maybe that's why they killed him off. But I was thinking, what if one of the clones is like a Star Killer to Thrawn, who is like Vader?
Stop.
Oh, you said
Stop.
Word, Sam Witwer.
Or the other theory is, because I don't think that he would know, just like Star Killer knew, is maybe that clone. Or maybe that Moff Gideon was a clone in the first place, and the real Moff Gideon is it?
Yes, man. Yes.
I second that. I really think he's a clone because
there's no way he could have just died like that. Like I feel like there's just I don't know. Like
I agree.
That was a really
also. I felt like Giancarlo can like really act. Like he can sell a performance, and I just wasn't feeling the performance when he's like, you killed them before they could even take their first breath. I'm like, okay, like, all right. So I feel like that was more like maybe he was trying to do that so he could be like he is like a clone, you know, and the real Gideon's just sitting back. Because like, why the hell did he was like, hold on 1 second, JT, I got you. Why the heck did he's like, oh, the Mandalorian's coming this way. Let me walk out of the room. Mandalorian comes through, blows everything up, and then he like walks around again or something like that. And it's like, I've been waiting for you, Mando. Like, really, you wouldn't protect the clones if that was your main priority?
And I guess to add on, last thing is you were saying how the Darksaber got destroyed like that. Well, we know the clones have the Force, so could have, if it was a clone, it could have Force crushed it. Like it could be.
Well, I think he had a mech suit on. Like when he moved, you heard. I think
that was my thoughts. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he had like a mech suit that gave him in.
But
I don't think it was a mech suit. You know.
No, it was.
It was.
I think it was. I personally think it was a cyborg of Gideon. You know, a clone cyborg.
That's true too. Yeah,
that'd be trippy. That'd be real trippy.
Like
you know, when he first appeared, it is presented as Dark Trooper instead of Gideon or Moff Gideon. So that is why I think it is a cyborg cloning thing.
Yeah.
And see, that's what made the previous episode so precious. Because even he said, what's the best thing? I'm in it.
Yeah.
You know, it would not shock me if all those troops was him.
That's true.
Yes.
You know, he's not in the cloning business, if you think about it. Because this probably his first time dipping his toes in the cloning business. And when they all got destroyed, yeah, he'd be upset. I'd be upset too if all my clones get destroyed. My handsome self, all them handsome clones of me get destroyed. I'd be pissed too.
I didn't think about that. Like all those super commandos could literally be him. But JT, you were like raising your hand. You really wanted to say something. So let's circle back to you, man. Because I told you that you were next.
Let's rewind. So like the whole thing was, what do we feel about the clones? Well, this goes to my other tie into that, which is one, I quite honestly am tired of cloning in Star Wars. And I'm tired of bringing characters back from the dead because it halts the effect of them dying. Because now it's putting... Oh, what's up, Strike? It's putting this image in people's minds, at least the casual viewers, that when they go to see this kind of stuff, they're going to think, okay, a character is dead, they're never gone, right? So that's like the new norm, and that shouldn't be that. If a character is dead, they're dead, right?
But JT, nobody's ever really gone.
I'm gonna leave if you don't. No, but that the Force Unleashed reference though, the Force Unleashed 2, they're called aberrant clones, and if you go to the character bio in that game, it says that some of them are more tuned in with Force abilities, and some are more tuned in with saber combat. But it never goes right. Never cloning a Jedi. It never ends up going right. No one ever works with it, and it always fails. Even Gideon, he says, they could have been so much more. They were gonna be me. No, they were not. I can guarantee you were just a warlord. You are not pure. Your midichlorian. It's not gonna happen. I love the reference to it though, that they actually brought a light to that. That is a little bit acceptable in my eyes. But the whole Darksaber thing, you were talking about hearing the zzz, zzz, zzz. So the Dark Trooper project started off with humans in the suit, but the Imperials figured out this is not as effective because it's like RoboCop when they're testing out the new suits and they're actually dying in the earlier stages.
Like all the Iron Man prototypes.
So they switched to droids, but the last generation, at least in canon, is him putting himself in the droid style, Iron Man suit is what you called it. But hearing the little zzz, zzz, that makes me think it is enhanced with mechanical powers. So Beskar can break Beskar. I know it's pure Beskar, but think of real life. You use diamond-tipped tools to harvest harder minerals underground. That kind of mindset. But that doesn't take away from me not liking the fact that he still broke the Darksaber, because that is an ancient weapon. Too easy, too important of a weapon just to be crushed like that for me,
Here's my only rebuttal to that is if that's the case, let's say Beskar has this magnetic field on it where it is able to crush other Beskar, then why do we never see Mandalorian armor get dented from Moff Gideon punching it? I feel like they should have, if that is the case, they should have gone the extra extent to show how lethal Moff Gideon's suit is. Mm-hmm. And to me, they didn't explain that. They didn't dive deep into it. So to me, it just kind of felt like, oh, I guess it's gone now.
Oh, yeah, they're just here's the suit. This is what it does. Deal with it.
That's what I wanted to see when when they were fighting with the Beskar spear as well. I wanted to see more denting work with that.
I'm still dude. Den can't have nice things, bro. He cannot. He's the definition. Of this is why you can't have nice things.
Oh no, my Razor Crest.
His Razor Crest, his spear, his blaster, his jetpack. Freaking.
He lost his whistling birds as well, man.
Okay, that's another thing I was going to ask. What happened to his whistling birds? Am I blanking on that?
Used them all up.
They got stripped
off.
Used
them in the very first season, right?
But he can't get more.
The stormtroopers or something. Well, I don't know. Can he? Because when she made them, she's like, these are really rare. I feel like she said something that extent of oh, these are insanely hard. Maybe you have to make them with Beskar as well or something.
Well, that's what they said. The remnant, the last little bit amount, was actually tipped with Beskar.
Inside of each bolt. He had a little bit left.
Maybe they just didn't find it then.
Yeah.
But.
Well,
plus, I think you have to have a specific gauntlet too to even take whistling birds, because some Mandos only have a flamethrower or a zip top, zip rope and different stuff.
Well, I do kind of like that he didn't have whistling birds, because he's using a lot more gadgets. I feel like this season, whereas he was using whistling birds a lot in the first two seasons, it was oh, I have more than one enemy to face, whistling birds,
Personally, if it were me, I would opt for the circular disc shield. That's pretty dope.
I want the Assassin's Creed blade that Katie Sackhoff has. That would be the shield with the assassin blade combo, man. That's where it's at.
I only say a shield because I'm a big fan of Dirge, and that's the first time we ever see it.
Well, it makes in a world where you have to fight against people who have freaking lightsabers, a shield makes sense, right?
Yeah.
To not.
You know, the biggest slap on the face for Dirge actually having those though is because he was tortured for thousands of years by Mandalorians, so to use their weapons against them.
Yeah.
Ironic.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, hang on. Before we move on from this, talking about Dirge, JT, is the new villain in Survivor. Do you think that he is like Dirge's species?
He is a Jedi. Yeah. I think they even show a little bit of a scene where he has a little bit of spaghetti arm tentacle moving going on. I think so. But the only thing is the face, because they're ugly under their helmets, right?
I mean, he's pretty ugly. I mean, he's not super ugly.
I know, but he looks more human than ugly. Like he's less like like Predator teeth on the side of the cheeks and that kind of stuff. So, either way, it's interesting. I'm hyped to see the battle droids having their little moments. You know.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah. Well, I thought the speaking of those battle droids, because they were showing on Jedi Fallen Order or Survivor, they were showing the what the new droids are going to look like, the new battle droids, and they were all painted and stuff like that. And I was like, dude, IG-11 looks like that. At the very end, when he becomes the marshal, he kind of has. I think the droids have like the red with like white stripes, and I just ripped out my headphones. But the droids have those or IG-11 has those in the show, and the droids have them too. So maybe it's like something.
A decommissioning thing, like if you're still used after not going through processing and getting destroyed, maybe you get it. Which doesn't make sense.
You get a red stripe.
Yeah, you get a red stripe. You're okay. You can live.
Population prize. There you go.
But no, I seen that the trail, and they show that shot of the droidekas aboard what looks to be like separatist hallways, which is pretty dope. So
I'm just saying though, if the B1 battle droids can move like the B1 battle droid in that one episode, I'm installing the game and turning it off and never playing it again.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about iRobot B2 battle droid ripping signs out of the ground.
I need to go back to the Pokey Joe Slowpoke freaking speed that they were at. What did you guys think? I thought they ripped it straight. I was like, this feels like a Filoni move to me, where they were doing the head-to-head combat where they were flying, and Bo-Katan has the dark saber, and we got the Rocketeer jetpack with the armor, and then they're like
so dope, dude.
They're just fighting the air. That seemed like Clone Wars to me, dude. Like it literally seemed like season 7.
That reminded me a lot of the Siege of Mandalore in season 7. They were doing most of that and a bunch of all other stuff. It was amazingly done.
This more so felt like Avengers Endgame vibes, though, when they both flash at it. Like
true.
It was so good.
And
Dude,
that
cool.
that GoPro style shot after that on that one guy's back, and the freaking armor just like kills him. Like, dude.
Well, that shot at the beginning of the season where they're fighting that big croc, dinosaur crocagator. It shows the GoPro shot on his helmet, and that's like an animated version of like a comic book panel. It was beautiful.
Oh yeah. Dude, I would just hate to be one of those super commando dudes. They're just like, oh yeah, I'm gonna fly up in a fight and just get nailed with a freaking hammer, dude. Like
literally stop hammer time. The armor just came down at least a couple times, just bam, and then that.
And she has two, dude. So she's hitting you with one, and then she's hitting you with the other one too. Like,
I love you, Emily Swallow, but my goodness, you're deadly unless that's Lauren Mary Kimbrough there as a stunt double. Jesus. So good.
I wonder how they shot. That was probably CGI, right? Like they probably weren't on like wires or anything like that. They were probably straight CG.
Looked like CG.
They're like,
they really got set on fire and died. Actually,
R.I.P.
All for the sacrifice of art.
Yeah, I think.
Bravo, brave role.
I think it was just one of like the best. I think it's the first time live action that we've really seen what Mandalorians are and what they're capable of, and just even against these Beskar troopers, like they were just killing all of them, like they're getting shredded. Like I think we saw like one or two Mandos die, but for the most part, like they're just destroying these guys. We get to see them use their jetpacks. We got to see the one girl use her knee rockets, and just like all that. I was like, this is freaking like this is what the Mandalorians are, and I think. For a lot of the show, you're kind of like, okay, the Mandalorians are the broken people and they're trying to get back. But when you go back and watch the Clone Wars, you're like, damn, these Mandalorians are freaking crazy. And now we get to see like, oh yeah, that's who they are and that's who they've been. which was really good to see.
Well, going back
in
to
the last episode, and in I forget what the other one is with Gorian Shard when he finally meets his end, is when they're going through the city streets and they're doing a lot of the takedowns where they zip rope like their neck and then yank him to the ground and execute him.
Yes.
Like there's just some cool takedowns. The knife in the throat guy at the ray shields. Like slow, like fall is super cool, man.
And he tries to grab the knife too. He's like, oh.
And maybe this is just me being greedy, man, but that's where I think they could have like expanded. Like the episode could have been easily a 50-minute episode, and I think the fight at the end with I think it could have, because like I'm a firm believer in like you don't have to like one up everything that you do. Like I feel like it can just be as good, but I feel like some of the beats weren't hitting right because literally the final of last season was Luke.
You're never gonna one up Luke either.
No.
And that's what I'm saying is like I don't think you have to. I don't think. Yeah, Boba, dude. Where the heck is Boba this season? But
good question.
That's gonna turn into a whole nother conversation. But yeah, I felt like they could have really like razzle dazzled the end fight scene just like a little bit more, shown us more. I felt like the fight scene with Gideon was like pretty quick, and then I felt like they didn't show us as much of like the fight in the skies. I felt like there wasn't like, I feel like this is bad to say because it's a season final. I felt like the stakes weren't crazy high in it.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
That's
like,
fair.
it just like I was like, what are the I mean, I get it, like Moff Gideon can like end up killing everybody and stuff like that, but I didn't feel like that sense of urgency at all, and I don't know, that was just me. That's what I was saying with like, because I felt like season 1 and season 2 like really nailed their endings and like nailed the story all the way through, and then I feel like this one season 3 was entertaining, but I felt like it kind of felt, it was still enjoyable, but I felt like it fell a little flat compared to the other two. And
in the last episode here, one of the only moments I think I actually can remember, at least, that I felt some sort of like, oh no, what's happening, is when Grogu's getting backed into the room with the Praetorians. They're gonna get him.
Yeah, for sure. Well, that's actually what I wanted to lean into next, so I'm glad you brought that up. I'm so glad we got to see more Praetorian action, dude. Like, I thought they were just going to be like a one-off sort of thing, and they weren't going to show them again.
And that was the thing too, because when I heard the Shadow Council, he's like, "You'll get your Praetorian Guard." I'm like, Praetorians? Like, I didn't really care for them in the sequels, and then they come out with this boss music, like Senate Guard inspired Spartan helmets, and they absolutely wreck,
Din was kind of he was still getting kind of wrecked by him, like at the very beginning when they first come in.
Grogu was cheating. He was doing a lot of this.
He was holding his own better than Paz was. I feel like he was getting. He did that little like roundhouse kick, or I don't know. Charlie could probably name the move better, but he dips super low and he does like a high knee kick from like the ground and just wrecks that one Praetorian guard.
Oh yeah. Well, he
does,
is
like a
Mandalorian.
Yeah, fair enough. But I did think, however, though, I thought Grogu jumping on the ceiling rafters was a little goofy. Like, I was like, oh, maybe they're gonna do like a Yoda scene where he's like bouncing off the walls when he's fighting Dooku and stuff like that, and like Grogu's kind of doing a little bit more like that, and then he gets tired, and then Din saves him. But they just he was just like, I'm just gonna chill on the scaffolding, you guys. They're all like trying to like hit him. They're like, like something's caught in a tree. They're like trying to like poke the broom at the tree.
Laughing at him.
I loved it. I loved every bit of it.
He was laughing at him. It's like, you guys can't reach me.
It's like something you see in anime. I just loved it.
But dude, that's the takedown that I want to talk about, is the one that Din goes and like straight up stabs that dude like underneath, and just the guy drops instantly. I'm like, damn, Disney. I was like, you guys are getting dark. I was like, you're giving us the Vader snapping necks, dragging people through like the streets and stuff like that. You're giving Din like throwing knives into people's like skulls and like jamming them. I'm like,
I don't know the vital areas that you can get those certain type of troopers and everything like that, because they were basically immune to the chest area, arm plates and stuff like that, and just there were very few places and everything. The way they did that, again, whoever the fight choreographer for this, good job, man.
Yeah, like, I just wish it was longer. I wish they had they're leaving these. That's one thing I've noticed, that maybe it's just a George thing or something like that. George liked to focus on the fights, man. Like those fights were like Revenge of the Sith is like the longest fight scene like ever. in movie history.
Well,
and
he
like,
explained it well too. I mean, even in the prequels, he was like, "These are supposed to be Jedi in their prime, so they're supposed to be quicker."
But that's what I'm saying is like I wish they like I feel like even like throughout the sequels and throughout a lot of these like shows and stuff like that, I feel like the fight scenes have been like really like short. Like I wish they were long. I mean, minus I guess like the Luke going through like all the battle droids and stuff like that. But I feel like they could be a little longer. You know,
especially if this is the last time we see Moff Gideon. You know, like if this really is like his end, then. I mean, he kind of went out like a chump, you know? Yeah. And I mean, I also think that like Moff Gideon, I think he's dope. I love The Boys and I love Breaking Bad. So Giancarlo is like high up on my list.
Oh, is he in The Boys? I haven't.
Oh, yeah.
Bro, you got
yeah.
I've started it. I'm like 4 or 5 episodes in.
He knows how to put Homelander in his place.
I'm basically where they trapped that invisible guy in the box and then he.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That's basically where I'm at. Not
it's about to get big. It's about to get big.
Okay.
Yeah. The Boys, speaking off Mandalorian, The Boys is one of those shows that every season it one-ups itself.
Nice.
Is insane. Yeah.
All I've seen is that one shot of that like Homelander guy. He like laser eyes a whole crowd of people, and I'm like, yeah. And it was just like an imagination.
Spoilers.
There's a few episodes. Cal, I know you've probably seen Hero Asm. You'll never look at stuff the same way.
Oh yeah, there are some parts in The Boys that will scar you eternally. So just be ready for that as well.
Yeah, man.
I'm ready.
See, just the way you're describing that, though, is making me want to get this stuff in Mandalorian season 3. You know,
maybe.
I mean, I have to.
Maybe not that. Yeah.
I'd have to agree with you though. With like he went out like a chump, but it also was kind of cool because they basically weaponized the Venator to crash right down on him.
That's the part that's cool.
But I feel robbed because I wish I seen more of him because what was it, episode 6 I think it was, like they talk about him escaping or the ship like
at the very end
and then 7 we see him talk and then 8 we see him fight a little bit and then he gets taken out. Like this was the main villain for all 3 seasons
and he loses every time.
Well, dude, if he if he ends up being actually dead, my views on this season's gonna change quite drastically. I'm basing my views off of that was a clone and that he's still alive because like I feel like Gideon's not at Thrawn's level, but I feel like he's right under Thrawn, like where he could like seriously mess you up. Like he's not an idiot, or at least we'll see. You know,
unintended, hoping that he might be playing with fire because he was talking a little bit of smack about Thrawn. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? But no, throughout everything that I've learned through storytelling, either film, television, whatever have you not, if you don't see a body, I don't.
Yeah.
I think he
I would
did
almost
a little crispy, or that really wasn't him, or he's got ways like.
Well, he didn't have
he didn't have the mustache. Yeah.
It's the mustache. It's not him.
I would almost prefer if Thrawn came at the very end and took him out. That would be
that's what I was.
Yeah.
That's
because in the comic books, Heir to the Empire. I mean, he's.
Well, I think it would make sense because in Heir to the Empire, Thrawn clones an army of stormtroopers, and
but
maybe
he
that's
also
how he gets
holds
that information.
He also holds his weight. Like even after Palpatine's death, he knows how to control the last remnants of the Empire.
Well, Thrawn is the big. I feel like Gideon is like almost like the henchman, like he's like the lower boss you fight before you fight Thrawn, sort of thing. Like that's kind of how I thought about him. But I guess we'll just have to see if we get a Mando season 4 or if it's in Ahsoka. I don't know what they're gonna do, but
that's why I thought it would be great if Thrawn came at the last second and took him out, because you don't talk smack about a guy that's obviously higher power than you. That's like going right to Chancellor Palpatine's room and be like, hey, you suck as a Chancellor. Doors close behind you. All of a sudden, it gets dark in the room. You see some lightning in his hands. You're like, oh, I should have talked shit at him at the Senate Council.
That's what you do. You see Thrawn surfing the Venator, and then a whale comes, picks him up, and then he flies away, and that's what hits. What did you guys
I wish the
what a way to go.
Moff Gideon, he reminds me of that famous Mike Tyson quote. Everybody has a plan until they get punched in the mouth.
Oh, yeah.
I'm thinking something I believe he's still alive, but once the big bad really shows up and put him in his place, that's when it's gonna go down.
Well,
Here's the thing, I feel like even Mike Tyson could take out Moff Gideon at this point. Like I don't know.
Mike Tyson take out a lot of people. Yeah, Mike Tyson was a beast.
He talks a lot of trash about my man.
Yeah. I forget who said the quote. It was like, "You all are cheese. You act in solid, but when the heat turns up, you start melting."
Why is that actually kind of good?
Stupid.
Bring in the heat. The fuck around and find out mentality.
When you look back, I wouldn't be surprised if, because when you look at Boba, as awesome as Boba's show was, it was obviously very much setting up Mando. Season 3 as well.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be too surprised.
The Mandalorian 2.5.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of this was setting up Ahsoka, because already we can tell they already mentioned Thrawn. They talked about the cloning. Ahsoka was in, season 2.5. So I think, I don't know, I guess where it'll go after this for season 4 or whatnot, but
I kind of hope it goes back to its roots, man. Like that's what it seemed like it was doing.
Apparently, there was supposed to be an Ahsoka end credit scene, but they cut it for some reason.
I was going to say there wasn't an end credit.
They cut it for some reason. It was already recorded, they said, and they already did all of that, but they just it's not there.
Damn.
That was another gripe. There should have been a post-credit scene at the end of this, especially
after having a 30-minute episode.
That and the way that episode ended, like it almost felt like a closed book. And while I think that's cool, and I love the idea of them resetting to like basic Mando, tropes for season 4, you got to set up for the next thing, man. Like especially if Thrawn isn't going to be in this. Thinking general audience wise, how do you let people know like this is him? Especially if Moff Gideon dies this episode, like who's filling that power vacuum?
100%. And even the fact that the last...
I'll do it myself. Puts the gauntlet on, I'll do it myself.
Hey! No, but I agree with that, because even the closed book concept of that, like the happy ending that you usually don't get in Star Wars, the only lead that I could imagine that would go from that is him saying that he's going to be doing freelance work or like free contractor work for the New Republic.
Yeah, right.
And that's pretty much it, Other than that, he's got his little nice homestead ranch. Din Grogu is levitating some frogs in the air. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. I wanted to first talk about though. What did you guys think of the Kanan move by Grogu?
Oh,
yeah, he's like holding the
flag.
I thought that was kind of cool. Good callback to Rebels.
Awesome.
I think it's cool to see it in live action.
Dude, it was. I mean, we were talking about this earlier. It's like poetry, it rhymes. How in season 1 at least, you see, Grogu like attempt it, and he does do it, but he's just like, I'm gonna take a nap, and then just falls over. After this one, he just goes full like force bubble and all that sort of stuff, and literally like Kanan Jarrus spoiled. If you haven't watched Rebels, then that's your own fault. But it's just
by now
it was amazing. Yeah, I loved seeing that.
Like who taught you that power? Where did you learn that? I mean, even when he's fighting the Praetorian Guards, he's doing a lot of, helping Din, get out of the way and not feeling tired after. So this dude definitely built up his affinity somehow.
I mean, I would hope so. With 2 years of having Luke training, you'd have something.
Which I would have loved to see Disney, by the way.
Yeah,
I think that's what this. We'll get into that later, but I think that's what that season should have been. It should have been Grogu training with Luke and Mando doing his own thing. But
and young Ben Solo.
It's not like a super deep like connect type thing. But one thing I just thought was kind of cool is in Legends how Vader gets thrown into lava and he uses like a force bubble.
And then
his son Luke ends up training Grogu, who then like uses like the same technique.
He
cool.
actually in the comics he emerges out of the Mustafar lava like that, which is cool. It's like molten off of his armor.
It's such a sick.
But he's scared of the fire in Obi-Wan, but we won't get into that. Next. Moving on. What did you guys think? Because I know I personally I don't really care. But what did you guys think of Din Grogu? Like when they said it, it didn't really phase me. I was like, oh, okay, cool, whatever. They're gonna still call him Grogu. They're never gonna call him Din Grogu. Like, who cares?
It makes sense, but I don't know why it just doesn't sit right with me the way it's worded. And that can be used against the argument because we don't know Yoda's species, if he even has a last name or if that is and he doesn't have a first name. So we don't know the placement of how the name should go.
Right.
But I don't know, it just doesn't sit right with me.
Well, I wonder what Din's name is then. Is Din's name Din, or did he get that from his person who taught him?
Is Din Djarin? Yes, I don't know.
Like, well, is his name Djarin?
I was confused about that too, because it's like Bo-Katan Kryze. So then if you were under her, you'd be a Kryze. But for him, I always thought his name was Din. That's what everyone's always called him. So it's like,
so he's Clan Din then.
Clan Din, yeah, I guess.
But he doesn't have a signet though.
I don't know.
Well, so he has a signet of 2.
That's what I'm saying.
Grogu is the one that got him the signet in the first place. Like,
I'm just
after all I've sacrificed.
No, because like even looking at like Boba and Jango, like their last names are Fett, and even to like the Kryze thing, like why isn't it Grogu Djarin?
That's
even Vizsla, the Vizsla bloodline goes all the way back, to the Darksaber practically.
That actually wouldn't be bad, Grogu Djarin. Like that kind of rolls off the tongue a little bit. I mean, I don't. It's just a name. Like I would say we could still call him Grogu. So like,
I'm just surprised he didn't get adopted officially until the end of the series.
Yeah, I was like, I thought this already happened. I'm like, this is like the whole point of the first season. Is like, he's like, you're my family, boy. Come here, get over here. And
I think it shows connection. By
sure.
him adopting him to be his son.
Yeah,
it shows connection. I mean,
for sure. I just figured it already happened because I was like, they're already like inseparable. But I guess they did. It didn't like officially happen. So
I'm fine with that connection and them being together. But you don't leave Luke Skywalker. He's the Jedi, right? It's just an opportunity you don't pass up in my eyes. I don't know about that one.
I think
that's why I think they should have I think this whole season should have been Grogu with Luke learning the ways of the Force, and then at the end, like I don't know, like maybe Grogu through the Force senses that Din's in trouble. He gets captured by Gideon, like at the end, and then he has to like fucking hop in an X-wing and go save him.
Well, he did when he got captured that one episode this season by the junk creature.
Yeah, he did.
Went off and did go. He did go get help. So.
Yeah. Well, it could have been a cool callback to the OT. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but it could be a callback to the OT when Luke's training on Endor, or not Endor. He's training on
Dagobah.
Dagobah. Thank you. I was like, what is the name of it? He's training on Dagobah, and then he gets like a Force flashback or a Force like insight that his friends are in trouble on Cloud City. Like I think it could have tied into the OT, and it makes sense because it's Luke and all that stuff. But yeah, it is what it is, I guess. But
I was just gonna say for any people watching that didn't know, because I didn't know, and I don't know if we talked about this or if someone else had told me, but that Grogu did train with Luke for 2 years.
2 years,
yeah.
Which is what I would have loved to see, especially if he's the Jedi, right?
Yeah. Well, because all we got him was hopping around. He was hopping around on the logs trying to evade the blaster fire from the droid. And that's like really all we got for the most part. And then lifting frogs, I guess.
And eating macaroons.
Yeah.
Blue macaron. Dude, they need to serve those at Josh's Edge, bro. So
yeah, that'd be cool. That'd be cool.
I just, with the 8-episode limit and having the season finale being like 30 minutes, I just feel a little bit robbed. It was cool, don't get me wrong. The last episode's intensity, the pace of it was all the way through, right? It didn't stop. Until the very end when they finally settle down and it's a happy ending. But I don't know. I think it's because like the first half of the season was released at the same time as the end of the Bad Batch, so my focus wasn't totally on it.
Yeah.
Even then, though, you get like a fan reception episode like the Jack Black, Lizzo, Christopher Lloyd episode, which didn't really sit well with the majority of people. It seemed.
Well, it was fine. It was just like too late in the season. Like episode 6, dude, out of 8. Like you're giving me that. Like it wasn't a bad episode. Just like give it to me on episode like 2 or 3. Like
or just give us more episodes or make them longer so you can fit. Well, I just feel robbed out of that.
I think Mando has a habit of like the episodes they like doing the episodes where it's like not much going on and then it has like a really cool ending, but that ending is usually like literally the last minute. So even for that one, it's like a pretty chill episode, and then the very end she gets the Darksaber and it's all epic, and I'm like, we could have had like, I would have been happier if I wasn't as hyped about the ending, like, and I was just like kind of hyped about the whole episode rather than like really hyped about the ending, because then we actually get to see a lot more cool stuff going on.
I think what sucks about that method though is like, for me and I didn't even hate like that episode 6, but like what sucks is I think about like afterwards, like when I talk about it on my podcast, it's like, okay, what parts did I like? That's always what I open with. And if I'm brought all the way to the end of the episode,
Exactly.
you know, like Bo versus Axe, it's like, I feel like we just got a bunch of wasted time, you know?
Yeah. Like it was like what Max said, it was cool to see, but like for the storyline, you wait to the end of the episode to see that little Renaissance field, duel.
To me, it was like the episode in season, I believe it was, season 2, with the frogs and the frog lady and the spiders. Like, that was totally a filler episode, but it was okay because it was like an earlier episode in the season, you know, and it was good. I feel like that one, because like we have the B1s, we have the droid bar, like that's cool. Like the B1 running was a little weird, but who cares? We got Ugnaughts working on droids and stuff like that. I love Jack Black, so I thought that was cool as hell seeing him. I love Christopher Lloyd. I don't really have much like affiliate with Lizzo, but I think she did fine. Like there was nothing wrong with her. But
my philosophy is that's where the planet of where the celebrities that want to go and play in Star Wars. That's where the celebrities go to just.
That's Star Wars Disney World right there. That's
I don't know where I saw it. You guys might have sent it in the chat, or I saw it on TikTok. But I saw it as the funniest thing. Someone put like a typical medication ad, like over was it voiceover or whatever of what you'd see like on TV, and then they put it next to her like playing that little game where you
it's like this might cause fibromyalgia if you have aches or headaches,
exactly,
and they're all like cheering and having
fun. And they're clapping when she gets it. I'm like, that's just like that.
I did see that. That was hilarious.
It was just a little unsettling to me that she was holding and petting a 50-year-old man. Like,
okay, true, but technically,
Burger is old enough to be Jen's
I did not think of it like that.
But technically, he's 50 years old for people, but he's still an infant for his species. So technically, he still is like a baby. So that's why. And he's 50, like he's still an infant. You know, he can't even talk yet. So technically, but I get your point. I
wonder if he does the same thing to Jack Black.
Oh no, dude! Bowser.
Okay, so we're gonna get into that. But moving to. What did you guys think of this? Not even just this episode. We're going to move to basically just talking about this season. What did you guys think of this season as a whole?
I pretty much said it felt a little rushed. I liked it, but it was a little quick.
Yeah, I think, like I said before, I don't think the lows were really low. I think there was like even with that episode with Lizzo and Jack Black, like we got the droids, which was really cool to see. So I think there's a lot of stuff. There's definitely a lot of homage. Even like we got the sequels, the little Babu Frick race. Like we got, IG, which is obviously from the originals, technically, that droid. So I think there's a lot of really awesome stuff in it, but it was a little bit more of a chill episode. But I think what saved it, at least for me, and again, back to what I was saying about seeing like the true, like who Mandalorians really are. Back to what you said, Pete, is I don't know if I think you said that you thought it was the best 2 episodes in the season, but besides the Luke, I think the last 2 episodes were the best out of all the seasons. So I think that that made it for me because like I said, that just seeing like even the day I was driving home from school and someone put like an edit of the How to Train Your Dragon like main theme to them like charging into battle. And like I've always loved that song is freaking awesome. That's hype. And dude, I was like tearing up, not even allowed. Like it's so cool to freaking see. So that for me, I was like, the freaking this is the Mandalorian. It's about Mandalorians. Now we can see genuine Mandalorians just jacking people up. So I was like, this is freaking. Nothing will beat Luke because I'm huge Luke stan. But like those 2 episodes, I think are the best and made this season for me. I guess not the season, but technically the season was the best for me.
Yeah, and for me, I don't think anything will top season 7. Or Jesus.
Season 2.
I'm thinking about. I rewatched the Siege of Mandalore the other day. I can't help it. Because I still got my eyes on the armor. I'm not giving up on that. But
He's the spy.
no, yeah, I don't. I will not.
I'm the spy.
I agree too. I still think so.
I loved the moments in this, like, God bless him, Ahmad Best got to return.
Dude, that was pretty sick. Yeah.
As much stuff as that poor guy got, and he finally got to be the guy to rescue the head of what's going on right now, and to bring that character back and stuff like that.
Well, I always feel like we don't see a lot of like double-bladed Jedi either, like in the movies at least.
Yeah.
I feel like there's, there's like not a lot, Well,
and you know what?
The video games, for sure.
that episode was actually so good that I completely forgot that it was one of the episodes in this season, because I think mentally just pieced it away from that, because it was like its own thing. Just that one Order 66 shot.
I loved that episode. I loved I remember the Mythosaur one thing. I just remember we were all doing the watch party like, what?
Everybody flipped.
That one. I mean, yeah, they all had like great gems and stuff like that. Yeah, dude. And again, learning today that my buddy Dupree was in the, when they took Mandalore for Mandalore and opens up the thing like, wait, what? What are you doing there? Oh my God! So I'm a little bit biased now to that. I love the combat and stuff like that they did. Yeah, it's definitely got some gems in there, but is it my favorite? Nah, but still enjoy it.
Yeah,
that's carry on. I'm sorry.
No, you're good, dude. This is your time to shine. Voice your opinion.
Well, I enjoyed every episode, and I think when because they could have easily ended Mandalorian with that previous episode, but
oh, dude, I would have been pissed.
It's gonna get a little bit deeper.
I'm so mad.
since then Grogu is an apprentice. It's gonna get a whole lot deeper now.
I hope so.
Yeah, and plus, the journeys, the missions in the future. Yeah, it's gonna get deep. Yeah, I can't wait.
Well, season 4 is written, and we have the Filoni movie, so hopefully.
Is that confirmed that the season 4 is written?
Yeah, it's written, but it just depends on when they decide they want to finalize it.
2 years from now, 3 years from now, something like that.
Exactly.
In the Rey movie, do you guys think that Grogu is gonna be?
I hope so. Just a cameo, but I hope.
I hope, to be honest, I hope he's a passerby, because I want something even like further past. Like I want something like maybe like 50 to 100 years past Rise of Skywalker, because I think Mandalorian Jedi is like a really sick idea, and by that time Grogu is gonna be like, you got to give him some time to grow, Grogu. So. But like Grogu fighting like the Yuzon Vong, I think that would be like super, or some sort of like entity that's a
you said the magic words.
Yeah, I know.
But some, even if it's not the Yuzon Vong, some enemy that's kind of like that, because I think it would call on both being a Jedi and being a Mandalorian, because he can't use the Force on those creatures, so he would have to rely on more of his Mandalorian ways. If he is in the, I'm okay with him being in the Rey movie if that's what they want to do. But yeah, I kind of hope he's just like a cameo or something like that. Maybe like how Ahsoka is, like she pops in, is like, "Hey, Luke, what's going on?" and then dips, sort of thing.
Right? Yeah, yeah.
My only gripe with that is, like, I want to see more Rey. Don't get me wrong, but the only gripe is just her, like, strapping Rey, the character, into that era, and I can kind of see what they're gonna do with, like, oh, by the way, this New Jedi Order, that was all her, by the way, and the EU and all that, because that's Luke's era. That's his time to that's Legends.
Technically, Luke does build his if we're saying he does build his temple. We just don't see that. They just skip over
but New Jedi Order Luke is Luke Prime. Like that is
fair. Yeah,
that is the strongest. It took, and here's the thing too. It took Luke and Darth Krayt to put aside their differences of Jedi versus Sith to take out Abeloth, which is
intense.
That's just otherworldly powerful, right? So even just like the mention of the Yuzang Vong, seeing that shot of Book of Boba Fett when he's actually building his temple, my brain immediately clicked, oh, Yuzang Vong, dude. Luke's definitely gonna do it, But we can see where it's gonna go. I wouldn't be.
We're going to talk about that a lot
opposed.
tomorrow, like because we're going to talk about all the celebration shows
Yeah.
and stuff.
All three eras that they voiced were EU pre-existing eras. Dawn of the Jedi.
I'm excited.
You know, all of that stuff. But
sure.
I wouldn't be opposed to seeing Grogu if he was in the New Jedi Order. But like you said,
see him in Mandalorian armor. Heck yeah, dude.
Maybe not as the full main character, but yeah, definitely would be cool to see.
But Cal, Rex, Nick, what do you guys think of the season as a whole? We haven't really heard your guys' full opinions yet on as the whole season goes.
Yeah, I mean, I thought this season was definitely enjoyable. I mean, it's more Star Wars. Like, I'm always going to be there for that. So I definitely had a good time. But comparing, like, just because they came out pretty close to the same time, comparing Bad Batch Season 2 to The Mandalorian, I freaking loved Bad Batch Season 2. I think it was amazing. Okay. I just rewatched the last 2 episodes with my younger brother last night because he hasn't seen them yet, and he was, like, distraught over Tech, and he didn't, like... Yeah, so comparing those two, I thought Bad Batch ran circles around Mando. And I think in a lot of ways, like, it just shows like good filler versus bad filler in my opinion. And I love Rebels. Rebels is like 80% filler. So but I never skipped an episode in my rewatch.
How dare you say that about Rebels? Cancel.
every show is gonna have filler though. Every single one. You can't avoid it.
Not Breaking Bad. No filler in Breaking Bad.
That's true.
And the so-called The Boys that I'm
also Breaking Bad.
Oh, just wait.
There might not be any
there's
filler
not
in
filler
that
in Breaking Bad, but Breaking Bad, like, and this is we'll get back on Star Wars, but it has a lot of really slow moments in Breaking Bad. I will say it's not filler, but it's like the development and like midway through the seasons. I think like it's like 3 or 4 or whatever. Like it gets slow at some point.
Really?
So
I went through that whole show in 2 weeks, so I don't.
Dang.
Yeah.
I watched it as it was coming out, so like I did maybe it was slow because I haven't seen it all the way.
Jesse, we gotta do our filler episode, Jesse.
but yeah, going back to Star Wars.
But we can even use Breaking Bad as an example. Like when the one controversial episode of Breaking Bad is the one where Walt is trying to catch the fly. Right? It's a bottle episode. Yeah. He's stuck in the laboratory the whole time. But like in that episode, you learn a lot about Jesse and Walt and how they decide to carry on with the decisions and how they live with the decisions that they make as drug dealers and drug lords. Basically, they run that operation, you know. And Bad Batch is the same way, where in the filler episodes, in their fun little adventures, you learn a lot about the different members and especially Tech this season. I've been using this example like the whole time is the episode where him and Omega are on the whole mining thing and they're getting that like light blue stuff, whatever that was, and you see Tech in a moment of like mental crisis because Omega falls down that hole and it's like, yo, what do I do here? And he just dives in after her, which is the most un-Tech thing ever because he can't make a calculation in his head on what his chances of surviving are, but the empathy that he has grown to have for Omega and the rest of his squad, he just goes for it. And that is something that like season 1 Tech maybe wouldn't have done. And so just using small moments, little tiny details like that in Bad Batch filler to give us so much new information about a said character is something that Bad Batch does really well. It's something that Rebels does really well. And I did not really feel that from Mando season 3 because with this season being focused on rebuilding Mandalore and these really heavy themes of what it means to be a Mandalorian, I feel like this whole season should have been streamlined to the max. Like I'm okay with a couple filler episodes because it is Mando and Grogu and I love the side adventures with them, showing us creatures and planets and all that stuff. But I feel like if there was one season to not do as much of that, especially because season 2 was pretty much all that. It was fun characters, fun planets. I feel like this season should have really shown us like, this is what to expect with Din and Grogu in the future. These are giving us some new principles on their characters and showing us how they operate outside of their comfort zones and all that kind of stuff. I would have loved to have had an episode, just a character study on Din and how he's, grasping, owning the Darksaber, and Bo-Katan being the leader of Mandalore, and like him maybe stepping out of the Children of the Watch and kind of becoming a night owl like he does towards the end. That I wish we got deeper with so much, and I feel like we didn't. And I think the one word that I used to describe this season, even though like I had a good time, it just feels shallow to me. Like I don't think that we got what we were promised from the beginning. I just in the second episode with Bo and using the Darksaber and all those amazing things, and we see the Mythosaur, like that was a jaw-dropping moment. And like it I was pissed we did not get it in the finale, because I feel like that was the Luke moment. That was supposed to be the big moment of this season, is the Mythosaur coming out and freaking dominating. Like maybe Moff Gideon has like some AT-ATs, and it's the Mythosaur versus like 3 AT-ATs, and it's like clawing and like showing who's boss. Like I feel like there was just a lot of missed opportunities, especially in the finale.
I feel that.
And Boba not showing up.
Oh, like, dude, don't even talk to me about that. That's
here's the thing.
He needed 2 episodes. Den got 2 episodes in his show. Boba needed 2 episodes where it's just Boba Fett.
Getting on my Boba soapbox for just a couple minutes. I would not be as upset if Boba wasn't in this season if we had a confirmation on what's going on with his character. True. Because there's that like thing in Brazil where they like kind of leaked Boba season 2 or whatever, but like there hasn't been an official confirmation. That could be fake, like who knows. Yeah. And especially with like them saying what they said, man, like this is going to be the satisfying resolution to Mando season 3 and the Book of Boba Fett. Brendan Wayne saying what he said.
Oh, dude, I was like, where's that moment?
Take any spoiler with the smallest pinch of salt you can possibly imagine. Yeah, because it usually never ends up
asking for more. I'm like, where's the regret? Where's the regret?
Yeah,
but what I was gonna say with what you said or just a second ago, Cal, about the shallow feel, like I agree with you 100%. Perfect. The shallow is a very fair word to describe, as well as how I felt. How be feeling robbed. We could have definitely got more. But it goes into dangerous territory when we talk about what is considered filler bias, because someone like my parents would see the episodes where they're talking about removing your helmet and stuff, and that's enough for them, right? So I think that rabbit hole only goes as deep as you are a Star Wars fan. And it's refreshing, actually, to hear that you liked Bad Batch Season 2. I personally wasn't a fan of it. I thought Tech should have gotten killed at the beginning, so it had to wait to these characters keep losing the objective from Sid. But what you described, sorry, hold on. What you described with that little moment of them in the cave, I agree that it had little character building moments like that, but something like the episode where they do the shootout in the bar, and I'm like, with like the lizards from Attack of the Clones that like they sting you, the little bug things. I'm like, no one in this room is gonna get hurt. There were certain like stakes moments like that I just knew. And then that was actually the episode that I couldn't finish because I scrolled through, I'm like, nothing's happening. I went through the thumbnails and I'm like, they're on this Hawaii planet the whole time. I'm good. I'm good. And I'll try Star Wars once, but if it's feeling a certain way and I can see ahead like a little bit, I'm like, maybe not. But I do respect that view on Bad Batch. It's refreshing to hear.
I think the unfortunate part about just who the Mandalorian people are as a whole is they're very like weighted with their words, but they don't talk that much. Like especially when they have conversation with their helmets on, like it's very kind of back and forth, but it's very calm. But at the same time, just because I think it's cool, looking at the positives of it is, I think anyone who's a Star Wars fan is like a sucker for quotes. Obviously there's so many from Star Wars. And Mando, we've had one. We've had a few. We've had I think his main ones would be like, I could bring you in warm or cold. And then he has I like those odds. But when he said, when he said when he said to Bo, he's like, "Oh, your song is not yet written."
Oh,
and
that
I'm
was
like,
good.
"Dude,"
That was a good
I was
line.
like, "Dude,
Beautiful.
that was so sick." So.
And that goes into good character writing too, because even like hearing those quotes and their helmets being on, you can't see the emotion because their faces are hidden, right? We as humans we get this emotion by staring, in their eyes and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, so you don't really get that inner feeling, which is why I think it's still a very possible idea that the armor in our heads, we all of us, probably most of us, I believe, thought the armor was a spy and she was going to betray at the very end.
I didn't think so.
I'm still
I'm
waiting.
not on that boat. I'm not on
Well,
that boat. No.
there are a group of people that thought that because
for sure.
just the way that she speaks and not seeing any of their faces, it gets dead quiet and they're all just staring at times. I'm like, dude, there is a lack of trust. That's what I feel.
The Brack.
Well, I want to chime in a little bit to what Cal was saying, and then Rex and Nick. I want to hear your opinions on the season, but I want to add this little thing in there. I think I agree with you. I think the season did feel like this is my least favorite season of Mando out of the three. I mean, I was still entertained. Like I said, I think shallow. You nailed it on the head, man. I think shallow is a good word to put it because I was entertained. I enjoyed a lot of this season. There was a lot of stuff that was fun, and I don't really think any episode was bad. But I felt like what they could have done is like what I said at the beginning. I felt like if they would have had them separated, and both of them learning to be apart from each other, like Grogu being more of like a Jack. I feel like they kind of play on that when he's like separating the Mandos, and Din's like, I didn't teach him that. That's supposed to be a nod to Luke. Teaching him that, and it plays like the little Luke and Grogu theme, but I feel like they could have shown that, and like I said, like I felt like what you were wanting, I felt like they could have added a lot of weight behind them being apart and them being like, oh man, this sucks kind of being apart, like from my dad, and like Dan is like, oh man, I miss like my son, like he was a part of me, I'm trying to learn, and he could learn about the dark saber, and even if Katie Sackhoff's character does get it, because I think she's awesome, and I love seeing Bo-Katan being badass, because she's a badass in a lot of the season.
Sure.
Seeing more trials and tribulations come from him, and then at the end they could have just met up again, and like the last 2 episodes or 3 episodes could have just been them together trying to figure out stuff from there. So that's all I had to put into that. But yeah, I think you nailed it on the head with it being shallow. But Nick and Rex, what do you guys think? Because I wanted to get your thoughts. Yep. Oh, Nick, you're muted or quiet. I was wondering. I was like
talking this whole time.
I know this. I'm like, he's being super quiet this episode. I was like, I don't know what's going on, but we can't hear you, unfortunately.
What'd you think, Rex?
Sign language.
Yeah.
Well, I gotta say that I love the episode. I love the season as well, but I personally think that they missed a lot of character development that was needed for Din Djarin. Like, we barely see him in half of the season, and
yeah,
like we didn't
they
get a lot of
him,
these
man.
moments.
They boba'd him.
I hate that that's a verb.
Like he was a side character of his own show as well.
Adjective.
For starters, we got an episode where he and Bo only show at the beginning, at the end of the episode. The one of the Dr. Pershing. Leaving aside not important stuff like the plot and the story and all of that, I gotta say that this season will be like some sort of step up into the costuming community, because it shows that your costume doesn't have to be like full uniform thing.
Leather helmet boy, bro. Leather helmet Mando.
Yeah, like we have a lot of different styles of Mandalorians, and they are on screen, so you can literally get every piece of armor you want. Yes, and also I think this will be another step up into those who already have their kids, because of that particular scene in the finale when they are just clashing their gauntlets, making metallic sounds. Because I can tell you that by the next big con that you have, there will be at least 2 or 3 Mandos with metal gauntlets just to make that particular thing. I won't do that because they will break, but just to mimic that sound is something that many people will sure try.
Are you talking about when they're dinking? They're going dink, dink. You talking about that?
Yes, I
Yeah.
won't do that. I don't want to break this.
Yeah, I don't want to break the gauntlets. But Nick, did you get your?
I don't know. Did I?
Oh
Yeah.
there we go.
All right.
Crystal
So
clear, man.
I'm real pissed then because I guess I pulled out my headphone jack and there was just like a tiny bit of room in between.
Oh
I'm
no!
pissed at that. But no, I don't really have much else to contribute. I mean, all of you have definitely shared the same feelings I've had for sure. I mean, this season was very much so about. I hope it's not, but it felt like it was very much wrapping up the story of Moff Gideon since he died.
Mhm.
And then season 4, I feel like, is going to unwrap Thrawn more in the eyes of the New Republic, since we know now that Din is kind of under the radar working for them with Carson Teva. So I'm thinking that maybe season 4 of Mando is kind of going to take the place of the New Republic show that
Rangers?
they had. Yeah, Rangers of the New Republic. So him and Carson Teva will kind of like find different like things that they figure out. Oh, Thrawn's coming back, and in the Ahsoka show, we'll find out about Thrawn coming back from like the mystical and side of it. So it'd be cool to see a political and a mystical side of Thrawn's return. Those are my thoughts.
See, man, this is why I urge people to get into comics so much, because they try so hard and they want to so bad show so many of these comic like adaptations. They are obviously bringing in Heir to the Empire references, then they're fusing it with Rebels lovers, with the Ahsoka trailer and all that. They're merging the two beautifully. And even though I don't appreciate and I don't like them bringing back Palpatine, it's a cool what if, but they're obviously copying Dark Empire with Rise of Skywalker. Clone Palpatine, somehow he returned, all that stuff. But they want to show it so bad. Even Luke's New Jedi Order, those 3 eras in Celebration that they released are all
Give us a Luke
EU
show. Come
eras.
on.
Right.
They want us so bad.
All right, Nick, what Easter eggs did you catch? That's my question. I feel
Nick's
like
Easter eggs.
I feel like I haven't noticed that many this season, but I'm assuming there's been a lot.
I'm gonna be honest. I've only watched this episode once,
No.
so I didn't really catch any. But the one I do definitely remember is, I kind of thought it was funny too. I'm wondering if like all the Mandalorians have like their own. For those of you who have 3D printers, there's just one big free website called Thingiverse where you can just download your own 3D files from. So I'm wondering if there's like a Mandalorian equivalent to that, because I swear the new Super Commandos have the same type of like Mando backplate as like Boba and all the other Mandos.
That's what I wanted to say. Nick, didn't we not just get done talking about the Ghost Trooper, which is the white Death Trooper helmet variant?
It does
and then we
look
get
like
these,
that.
and then we get these new troopers that look just.
They do look like
Come
that for
on,
sure.
man.
But that was the only real
Coincidence?
thing
I
I
think not.
noticed. So I was bad this week, but
I guess that reminds me of one thing that just being a sequels fan, it was cool to see even just for the little bit. But I'm pretty positive in the last episode we didn't see it, but in this one I know for sure we got to see that his sword thing. The Praetorian Guard's sword, because I was saying, oh, in the new ones it turns into a whip, but in this one it also turned into a whip. So I was like, oh yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
and their armor is just straight up First Order, like normal Stormtrooper armor. Their chest and back plate, they're just the normal,
Is it really?
They're just the normal like First Order TKs painted red.
Okay, because I thought they were Stormtrooper. I kind of look Stormtrooper, but I guess they kind of have some resemblance in both things. So
They're like Spartan style helmet resembled like the Senate Guard, though, like the blue ones with the fin.
Dude,
like, just
their
the way it
helmets are
tees down.
so sick.
I
like,
want
so
one so
cool.
bad.
I know, dude. I'm like I gotta finish the other helmets I have. I gotta finish the other helmets I have. I gotta finish
4 on the workbench now. I don't need more.
But so to kind of wrap this up and to put a nice little.
I did have one Easter egg that.
Go for it, man. Go for it.
Like, the Mando mercs have this rule of no dented helmets unless you are Boba Fett, and I think I know why. One of the Mandos.
No, I'm just kidding.
No, I don't have
just
a word for
kidding.
this.
Just kidding.
One of the Mandalorians that is on their ships when they are like escaping or something has a Boba Fett style helmet, the very basic Mando helmet, but this Mando actually has a dent on the left side of their dome, just like Boba has.
Mm-hmm.
And many people were confused on, oh, look, there is Boba Fett. But I don't think it was, like, it would not make any sense, but it is the same style of dent that you get to see in Boba Fett, and it's the same helmet that he wears, just
the no dent thing doesn't make any sense because, like, I just got done doing a Paz helmet, and Paz has dents all over his helmet.
Yes.
Like, it's ridiculous. So
Boba's dent will always be canon for me with Cad Bane.
Yeah, for sure.
100%.
100%. Yeah. They even has like the patch. We won't go into that, but he even has like, Cad Bane. Oh! Thank you for bringing up Cad Bane, though, dude. Oh my goodness, my printer is freaking out. Dave Filoni was wearing Cad Bane's hat from Book of Boba, wasn't he?
Yes,
it looked exactly
like that.
Okay, I'm not the only one then, because I had that written down on one of my notes and I must have just skipped it.
It definitely wasn't his normal like cowboy style.
No,
but yeah,
it had
like the flat brim,
the
the
little greebles on the side. So I was
I
like,
think you're right for sure.
I think he's alive.
And chop at the same store,
Bro, whatever. If he's alive, I hope him getting hit or whatever. Give me big hat Cad Bane again. No more of these tiny hat bullshit, bro. Like, we don't want the tiny hats. We don't like the tiny hats. Give me a Clone Wars Barbosa from Pirates of the Caribbean. I want it to be like out to like here. I want it to be hanging so he flies away like Dumbo when he like. We need jetpacks on the hat so he can just fly away. He just starts spinning.
And that's another thing that annoyed me too with the way he went out. I mean, it makes sense that Boba Fett would take him out because of like family.
No, I'm stopping you right now. You're going down a path I can't follow because of Boba Fett.
I'm with JT. Even though like
I agree with you guys, but we can't get into Boba.
It was some of the.
That's a deeper rabbit. That's a deeper rabbit.
It was some of the spirit of strike. For God's sake, that's the biggest. Don't do it.
But what do you guys to end this up, to put a nice bow on this? What do you guys, even if it's just one thing, what do you want to see if we are getting a season 4, which it looks like we are? What do you want to see from season 4?
GG.
Wait, hold on. What was the question?
What do you want to see if we? I know season 4 has been confirmed and stuff like that. However we get it, what would you guys like to see in season 4 that you didn't get to see this season or
I have 2 things, but they're both kind of like crazy.
You can just go right to him because this
is a what if, man. You can go. Yeah, you can say Mace Windu's coming back and gonna kill everybody.
No. Grogu's gonna murder everybody. So I think what I would like to see, this first one is like, I don't know if we'll see it in Mando because we could see it in any of them, but the kind of like the merge of everything. So we get Boba and Mando and Luke and Ahsoka and all come together kind of against Thrawn. I don't know if this will happen in Mando because it's still like about the Mandalorian versus like Ahsoka, or if Luke has a show, that'll be more like Jedi and everything. And then the second one was something that I was thinking about earlier because I do not think the Darksaber is gone. But if there's somebody that can fix it, I think it could be Ahsoka, but I would love to see Luke fix the Darksaber.
Maybe there's a certain droid in
like a new
Ahsoka.
version. Like it'd be the same.
Is that his name? What's the droid's name?
Han Zihan, or I don't know.
No, it's Huyang. It's
Huyang.
Zihan, yeah.
It was an ancient never knew.
So, Michael, we could have that for sure. I mean, having Luke fix it too would be anything with Luke.
Any of them would make sense.
Hear me out. Maybe the Empire will get their own Darksaber, because I remember something along the name of Darksaber when they are checking the plans for the Death Star in Rogue One.
Oh, Project Black Saber, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, so like Gideon studied the Darksaber and made his own like he did the armor. That'd be kind of cool.
He had the Darksaber with him for like, I don't know, 3 episodes of Star Wars or something.
Years, yeah.
Yeah, like they had enough time to study it, to rip it apart, I don't know, scan it, print his own or something if he wanted. It may be a step forward on this because the Republic knew about this saber, and since it wasn't precisely the Jedi, they could do whatever they want. It's Creative Commons or something.
For sure.
Yeah, so those are my 2 things. Either everyone coming together, and I definitely think we'll see the Darksaber get fixed, and also I want an excuse to buy a new version of the Darksaber. So
I actually do have some stuff in episode 7 when they're on like the pirate skiff ship that they're flying around on the surface of the planet.
King Gorian
They see
Shard.
that big. They see that big creature like burst out of the ground. I thought that was gonna be the mythosaur.
Yeah,
I want to see
think
them do
everyone did.
something with the mythosaur, right? And in that Whack Dr. Pershing episode, I want to see what happened to that Imperial officer that's playing a good guy. See, after the Mind Flayer scene, what happened to her? If this is the end of the series, which it's not. They have loose ends they need to tie up.
Oh, for sure.
But the only lead we have is the New Republic freelance work. I don't know.
Oh man. Two things. One, I'm clearly in that as well. The bottom part of the Darksaber was not destroyed, so it can completely be rebuilt. So definitely that. Something that was touched on the very last thing, which I never thought about because Din is almost on Order 66 happens whenever we see carried away and stuff. They mentioned who trained him. I wouldn't mind a little flashback of who that was. I don't know, just something a little small like that.
Tales of the Jedi.
Children of
There
the
you go.
Watch. That'd be pretty cool.
That's just me.
Wait, of Din or Grogu?
Din.
Okay. So I thought you were saying Grogu. That's why I said Tales of the Jedi.
No.
Din Djarin or Din Grogu?
Which Din are we talking about? Yeah.
The 50-year-old who's trying to pass for the man. There's a 40-year-old.
What a fantastic wrench thrown into the system. Which Din will it be?
Oh, that's just me.
Well, what I want to see for the next season is, in the previous episode, we see a glimpse of what Din and Din Grogu can do when they work together.
That is true.
And with just that little bit of Mandalorians that we see, just imagine a whole planet full of them. So I like to see more. I'd like to see more of that.
Okay.
Everything we saw a glimpse of in the previous episode, I want to see more of that.
More.
Yeah.
More.
Well, I just love that shot of the Shadow Council when they were talking. Moff Gideon was talking about, the Mandalorians are still a problem. I'm glad you guys bombed them all those years ago. But there's still an issue. Mm-hmm. So I agree with that.
I guess what I would like to see in season 4, to add to your point, Michael, I think that we will get kind of like a Mando Avengers kind of thing, but I don't think that we'll get that until the Filoni Mandoverse movie.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah.
I think what I think would be great is if Disney is using Mando and Grogu to pay their taxes, that's why they brought them back together in Book of Boba Fett. Then I would love to just see a low-key season of Dan and Grogu going on fun adventures, getting some, filler episode depth like I talked about, and just letting all the other shows do the work, and then when it gets to that final Dave Filoni movie, that's when we get everyone coming together and we finally have a more developed Din Djarin, a more developed Grogu. We have all this stuff with Ahsoka and with Luke, Din Grogu, my bad, you're right. And maybe Boba season 2, if we're lucky.
Let's go.
Maybe Old Man Cal Kestis, if we're lucky,
Cal, we need a Cal
like
show.
he's in here or something.
Huh?
Yeah, more Cal, definitely. I don't know why I'm saying that, but it's like he's here in spirit.
Yeah, the energy is here for
Cal.
sure. It's weird.
Well, I only have one thing that I want to say, and it is a good-looking Mythosaur, because so far, I may be a hot take, I don't know, but I don't like the current design that it has. It looks too... I don't even know which adjective to describe it, but I just don't like the way it looks, because I think that the design that you see on Boba's pauldron is not supposed to be a direct copy of the way that a Mythosaur looks, and I think that's what they did with it. I just don't like it. But I want to see at least something cool with it. Maybe.
To be fair, we've only seen the side of it, so I agree with you. The when you look, if I can speak, oh my goodness, I said the like 6 times. When you see the mythosaur from the side, it kind of has like the longer face with the horn, so that's why it kind of does almost look a little goofy. But I can see what you're saying, like maybe build more on it, but like I said, we've only seen it from the depths, though. Like we haven't seen it full on. Yeah, like we haven't seen it like how it looks when it's out of the water, like light shining on it. You know,
and you know what's a sin? We seen more shots of the Sando aqua monster eating goober fishes from the Phantom Menace than the actual. No, but I mean, back on that as well. Right? You would think it would have more flesh on the head, but the head shot that we see of it pretty much is just a lively version of what the skull shape is, you know.
Yeah. Nick, man, what do you have anything you want to see for this next season?
Not really. I think just the full scale.
Just like nothing. I don't want another season. Screw this show.
We won't
No.
Definitely more. I think I want even more Mandos. You know.
Yeah.
Seeing more.
Finrel, man. Where's Finrel at?
More.
That's another
like,
good point.
More unified clans, because right now we only saw the Night Owls. That'd be cool to see live action Wrens, live action. Who else was in Rebels? I don't even remember, but it'd be cool to see
Sabine's
more
family.
Mandos together that share the same unified paint schemes. I think,
dude. I want to see some Mandalorians, man. Like I want to see them be like, "Oh, Maul played us," and it was like real bad. Like talking about like how like they were followed him like with undying allegiance, and then they were tools, you know, like
rips the horns off the helmet.
I was just gonna say, even though the Armorer said in one of the episodes, you know, the Death Watch are no more. We do see like Axe Wove and his squad of Death Watch painted style Mandalorians. Roll up and they go head to head when they land on that planet. Bring the kids away.
Before any of that, I think we should get some more Maul content in Solo 2, if that's gonna happen.
Dude, let's go! Let's
Can we
go!
have
Crimson Dawn, Darth Maul,
That'd be
Kira.
great.
Come on.
Please,
Or a
yes.
Crimson Dawn show. Like, don't even give us a Solo 2. Just give us a Crimson Dawn show and have Solo and all them like sprinkled in it.
Yeah.
Because I think that would be. I mean, honestly, I would love another Solo 2, so I'm not opposed to that either. But
yeah,
Crimson Dawn is such a fascinating crime syndicate. I think you could make a whole show.
Kira was criminally dissolved into the
Book of
comic
Boba Fett
books.
season 2. Crimson Dawn.
Now just Maul.
All right, well, I'm gonna say what I want because I have some stuff cooking. I was thinking while all you guys were giving, dude. I think we were talking about teeing up Thrawn and how like it kind of doesn't really do that at all. I kind of want, in my ideal world, is like they kind of go back to their roots with season 1. Din's going on a lot of missions, these Imperial outposts, learning a lot of stuff, and through that he learns that was a clone of Gideon. Like that wasn't the real Gideon, and the real Gideon is still out there somewhere. Because if he had a base on Navarro and on Mandalore, I bet you that there's another base out there somewhere. Like Gideon's not dumb; he's not going to put all his eggs in like 2 baskets, essentially. Or even if that was the real Gideon, maybe there's like a Gideon like 2.0 that's like all his best qualities. So it's like a clone version of him.
Starkiller Gideon.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, it could be something kind of like that. I know people don't like that, but
Starkiller.
Yeah, I'm the same, JT. Same here.
But Star Wars is largely about cloning. Like, yes, it is the Force and stuff like that, but cloning is heavy in Star Wars and a lot of sci-fi stuff too.
There's an entire movie about it.
Yeah, so I think it fits into the theme. And then I would like, honestly, like Din and Gideon to have like a really epic scene, and then somehow Thrawn just comes in and it was like, oh, Gideon like sideswipes Gideon somehow, and then Mando's like, oh crap, and then maybe that leads into Ahsoka or it leads into the movie.
I want Thrawn to take out Gideon. I think it would be intro.
I think it would be cool if they like hyped up Din, like Din's gonna get him this time, Din's gonna get him, and then something just out of left field just like swipes Gideon. It's Thrawn riding the Mythosaur, and the Mythosaur eats Gideon. Something crazy,
even regardless of having like pre-existing like plot devices to set up a villain, like a villain just being introduced by taking somebody out is already cool enough as it is.
Yeah.
The Joker from The Dark Knight, he's working with the bank robbers, and he's like, no. I'm here to kill the bus driver. What bus driver? And he takes him out, and he is like the last one that makes it out of there. Grievous in the 2003 Tartakovsky Clone Wars. Dun, dun, dun. Hypori theme takes out 5 Jedi by himself. This was the Grievous, that we were hearing about. The Jedi Slayer, right? The cool character intros and villains. They just got to take someone out, and that's their intro, right?
I mean, it's less significant, but he does that too in the droid episode where they lose R2, and the Junker guy finds him. He's like, "Where's my reward?" And he like stabs him in the back.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
That's a smaller version of that, but even then, you're just like, "Oh, crap, okay."
Yeah, I wouldn't be completely against like the opening scene of a Ahsoka or something being, it just opens on Gideon, all burnt up, and you kind of get this like. What was it, Two-Face and Joker in the Batman, where he comes up and he's like, "Oh, it's you," and then he just kills him.
That in the armor,
it's like,
dude?
oh my gosh! Like
he takes off his mask.
Or he could have like a Malgus, kind of like Darth Bane or something like that, like kind of like not Darth Bane, but like Malik. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
No, but
like
I'm saying if they want to kill him, if they want to kill Gideon, it'll just be like that opening scene or whatever is Gideon messed up, and Thrawn comes in. I'm done with you, and then they just bring in some troopers.
Yeah, can you imagine getting Kevin Kiner to come in and slowly play that piano theme, and you're like,
yeah.
Well, I can't even do it, but yeah, that's.
And then, honestly, too, I've kind of come to terms with Boba, right? He's not going to be like in the extended universe. He kind of becomes the ruler, or he doesn't kind of. He does become the ruler of Mandalore, and like is like the predominant one that rejoins. Like that's all. Disney's created their characters. They're going to push their characters over the legacy characters. They've done it time and time again. It's fine, whatever. But I hope that he plays somewhat. I want to see more of him. Like even if he's just like a supporting character to like Din and Bo, like as much as I want him to be like the main badass guy, like I want to see him do some more awesome stuff like he did in season 2 of Mando, where he's just beating the crud out of all those stormtroopers and stuff like that. Like give me more of that, like in that episode, or maybe he comes in and helps Din take out some Imperial remnants or something. So,
just about that as well, like not even knowing anything about Boba Fett and being introduced in that episode of The Mandalorian where he just lands and starts taking out stormtroopers. That's badass.
Yeah, very Boba Fett.
It's just cool.
And some more connective tissue that I was going to mention earlier is I didn't even realize until recently. It's like in the Ahsoka show we have a Mandalorian, and so that could be very easily connected. Sabine coming back like with her people or bringing her people to help in some way, so that's nice.
Well, in the second at Celebration we saw the second trailer for the actual panel and shows Sabine holding a green lightsaber.
What? I'm excited.
Ezra?
I'm excited to hear all this stuff
Made
tomorrow,
me green.
man.
Yeah,
I'm excited.
so it's it's a catch-22 because they could show more of the side of Mandalorians and have her just have that as a weapon, or they could be leaning more towards that route. Either way you slice it, it's hard not to be hyped.
Yeah, for sure.
Either way you slice it, man.
Well, I mean, I think that's all I have to say on the episode and the season as a whole. Like I said, I'm kind of going to echo what Cal said, man. Like, entertaining season. I thought it was good, but yeah, it did have a little bit of shallowness to it, And not every season's going to be a banger. There's plenty of shows out there that have, they have 4 or 5 seasons, and one season's just kind of like, it's good, all right, Some the Clone Wars has that. Like you could argue like the first 2 seasons of Clone Wars is kind of like it's good, it's entertaining, but it's kind of compared to the later seasons, So who knows what we're gonna get, but yes, thank you guys for watching. Be sure to catch us tomorrow at, I believe I said 6. Yeah, come tomorrow at 6 Central Standard Time. We're going to be talking about Star Wars Celebration and all the upcoming shows and speculating what we think and all the hype and stuff like that. So come and hang out at the Roundtable, and make sure I have all the links for these guys down below. Go give them a follow. They do awesome stuff. Wide range of talent here. We got people doing all sorts of stuff. And as always, may the Force be with you.
Stay awesome.